Imagine this, you're at the starting line of a marathon, the gun goes off and you take your first step. How you start sets the pace for your entire race. The same goes for your IELTS speaking test. Your first few minutes in part 1 can set the tone for your entire test. That's why it's so important to make a strong, confident start on the IELTS speaking test. First impressions matter, and they can make a significant difference in your final score. So, in this video, I am going to show you how to make that powerful first impression in part 1 of the IELTS speaking test. Let's get started. Welcome IELTS champions. If you don't know me, my name is Simar and I am your go-to English language teacher for IELTS exam preparation. With my Cambridge CELTA certification and a solid band 9 across all 4 modules under my belt, you can trust that you're in good hands. I have been trained by both British Council and IDP, and with over a decade of experience, I specialize in turning your dreams of scoring a band 7 or above into reality. In this video, I will first talk about the structure of IELTS Part 1 questions, including some questions that the IELTS examiner will definitely ask you. Then I will share some tips on how to perform well in the first part of the test. Finally, I will share my test experience, specifically some strategies and habits that I have adapted over time for the IELTS speaking test that will give you some bonus tips. So let's start first of all with understanding the structure of part 1 of the test. So part 1 of the IELTS speaking test is also called introduction and interview. Once you enter the test center and sit with the IELTS examiner, they will turn on the recording. At the beginning of the test, the examiner will read a script and introduce the test. After that, they will introduce themselves and ask you to confirm your identity. Make sure you familiarize yourself with this process so you know what to expect and you don't feel nervous during the exam. Let me show you how they do it. This is the speaking test of the International English Language Testing System taking place on Wednesday, the 5th of June 2024 at IDP Jalandhar Test Center. Center number IN854. The candidate is Pratak Singh and the candidate number is 456789. The examiner is Simarpreet Singh and the examiner number is 541678. Good afternoon. My name is Simarpreet Singh. Can you please tell me your full name? Yes, my name is Pratak Singh. And what should I call you? You can call me by my first name, Pratak. Thank you. Can I see your identification, please? Yes, here's my passport. So, this is what you can expect in the real exam. I encourage you to listen to this script more than once, and especially before your exam, so you know what to expect in the actual exam. Once the ID check and the introduction are done, the examiner will read script again and start the test. Here's what they will say. Now in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. And then the examiner must ask a set of compulsory questions from one of the 2 categories, which are either work or studies or about your hometown. In the work or studies category, the examiner might ask questions such as, do you work or study? Or what part of your work you enjoy the most? These questions are designed to get you talking about your daily life and responsibilities. For example, if you're asked about your job, you might discuss your role, the company you work for, and what you enjoy or find challenging about your work. Similarly, if the examiner asks you about your studies, you could talk about your major, why you choose it, what you find interesting, and your future career aspirations. If the examiner chooses to ask you about your hometown, the questions might include, can you describe your hometown? What do you like most about your hometown? Here you should be ready to talk about the physical characteristics of your hometown, such as its size, location, any notable landmarks. You might also discuss cultural aspects like local traditions, festivals, and the community spirit. When asked about what you like most about your hometown, you could mention things like friendly people, beautiful scenery, food, or unique culture. It is essential to practice answering these type of questions confidently and clearly to make a strong impression from the start. Providing detailed, structured responses not only showcases your language ability but also help you feel more prepared and less nervous during the actual test. Remember, the goal is to demonstrate your fluency and coherence, so take your time to think about your answers and speak naturally. So after the examiner has asked you questions from one of the initial topics, work or studies or your hometown, they will then proceed to ask you questions on additional 2 topics that they choose. These additional topics are often everyday subjects that you are familiar with, providing you an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to speak about a variety of common experiences and interests. For example, if the examiner chooses to ask you about your hobbies, they might ask you questions like, what hobbies do you enjoy? How did you become interested in this hobby? So here you can talk about activities you do in your free time, why you enjoy them, and any interesting experiences you've had related to your hobbies. When discussing sports, the examiner might ask you, do you play any sports? Or what is your favorite sport to watch? This allows you to talk about any sport you participate in, why you enjoy them, and any memorable moments you've had while playing or watching these sports. So I hope this will help you understand the structure of the IELTS exam. Now let me provide you with some tips to tackle and deal with part 1 of the speaking test. So the first tip I want to give you is to provide a 2-part answer. So what this really means is that you should initially give a direct answer to the question asked. For example, if the examiner asks, do you work or study? You should start giving the direct answer such as, I work as a teacher. However, simply giving direct answer might not be enough to demonstrate your language skills effectively. To enhance your response and potentially improve your score, it's important to provide additional details or information. This is where the second part of your answer comes in. So after giving the direct answer, you should expand on it by offering more details, explanations, and examples. For example, I work as a teacher at a local high school. I specialize in teaching English literature to students in grade 9 through 12. I've been teaching for 5 years now, and I find it incredibly rewarding to inspire young minds and help them develop their language skills. One of the aspects I love most about teaching is seeing the progress my students make over the course of the school year. It's truly fulfilling to know that I am making a positive impact on their education and future. So, by elaborating on your initial response, you not only provide the examiner with more information about your occupation, but also demonstrate your ability to speak fluently and coherently. This showcases your language proficiency and communication skills, which are key factors in determining your score in the speaking test. Remember, again, the goal is not just to answer the examiner's questions, but to engage in a meaningful conversation that showcases your English language abilities. So always strive to provide detailed and articulate responses that demonstrate your fluency, coherence, and ability to express yourself effectively. Tip number 2, use range of vocabulary. Avoid repeating the same words when discussing topics such as your hobbies or interests. Instead of using the same phrase repeatedly, try incorporating synonyms to express your thoughts more vividly and diversely. For instance, instead of simply stating I like, consider using alternatives like I enjoy, I love, I'm fond of, or I have a passion for. Similarly, when describing your experiences or preferences, utilize a variety of vocabulary to convey nuance and depth. For example, instead of saying, I watch TV, you could say, I indulge in watching television, or I am keen on catching up on my favorite TV shows. Rather than stating, I play sports, you might say, I actively participate in sports activities, or I'm enthusiastic about playing sports. Instead of repeating, I enjoy music, you could express it as, I derive immense pleasure from listening to music, or music is a source of joy and inspiration to me. Tip number 3. Be honest and true to yourself. It's important to be genuine during the speaking test. Don't try to impress the examiner with the things that aren't true, that you're not comfortable talking about. Being yourself helps your speech flow naturally and makes it easier to communicate. When answering questions, stick to topics that you know well and feel confident discussing. For example, if the examiner asks about hobbies, talk about activities you really enjoy, like playing sports or cooking, instead of making up interests just to sound impressive. Also, keep your answers straightforward. While it's good to talk for a bit, don't add unnecessary details that might make you feel awkward or unsure. Stick to what you know and can talk about comfortably. Lastly, use words that you understand well. Don't try to use fancy language if you are not sure what it means. Stick to words that you're familiar with and that you can use confidently. By being honest, sticking to what you know, and using simple language, you'll be able to communicate effectively and confidently during the speaking test. Tip number 4. Avoid speaking in a monotone. Sometimes when we speak, our voice sounds flat and lacks variation. This is called a monotone, and it can make it harder for the listener to understand and engage with what you are saying. When speaking to the IELTS examiner, it is so important to vary your tone, stress, and intonation to make your conversations more interesting and engaging. To achieve this, try putting emphasis on certain words or phrases in your speech. Emphasizing keywords helps to highlight important points and makes it easier for the listener to grasp the significance of your message. For example, if you are discussing about your favorite hobby, you might emphasize words like passionate or exciting to convey your enthusiasm. Additionally, incorporating pauses at strategic points in your speech can help to break up your message and allow the listener time to digest what you are saying. Pauses also adds rhythm to your conversation and prevent your speech from sounding rushed or monotonous. Another effective technique is to use gestures and body language to complement your verbal communication. Using your hands to gesture can help to emphasize certain points and add dynamism to your speech. For instance, if you are describing a process or action, you might use hand gestures to illustrate the steps involved. Tip number 5. Use discourse markers and phrases to give yourself time to think. Discourse markers are words or phrases that help to organize and structure your speech, making it easier for the listener to follow your train of thoughts. Additionally, incorporating phrases to give yourself time to think allows you to pause briefly without awkward silence while you gather your thoughts. For example, when transitioning between ideas or topics, you can use discourse markers like firstly, secondly, or in addition to signal to the listener that you're moving on to a new point. This helps to maintain the coherence and flow of your speech. Similarly, phrases like, let me think for a moment, or that's an interesting question, gives you a brief moment to gather your thoughts before responding. Using discourse markers and phrases to give yourself time to think not only help you organize your speech, but also allow you to formulate more coherent and thoughtful responses. This demonstrates your ability to communicate effectively and express yourself clearly, which is essential for success in the speaking test. So don't hesitate to use these linguistic tools to enhance your performance and showcase your language skills during the test. Alright, now let me share with you my test experience. Having taken the IELTS exam numerous times, probably around 10 times, I have developed certain habits and strategies that have helped me perform well, particularly in the speaking test. So the number one thing is familiarity with the test format. So one of the key factors in my preparation is ensuring I'm familiar with the test format. Knowing what to expect allows me approach the test with confidence and composure. Number 2, building rapport with the examiner. I always try to build rapport with the examiner. For example, upon entering the room, I always make it point to greet the examiner myself. Whether I address them as "Hello sir" or "Hello ma'am," this simple gesture helps me establish a connection with the examiner and sets a positive tone for a test. Number 3, waiting to be seated. It's important to me to maintain courtesy and respect throughout the test. Therefore, I never sit before the examiner asks me to do so. I believe it demonstrates politeness and professionalism. Number 4, comfortable attire. I know some people may opt for formal attire. I prioritize comfort when choosing what to wear for the test. Feeling at ease in my clothing helps me focus on my performance without any distractions. Number 5, expressive gestures. I naturally use my hands to express myself when speaking. This not only enhances my communication but also reflects my personality. Being authentic in my gestures contributes to my overall confidence during the test. Number 6, maintaining a positive demeanor. Throughout the test, I make conscious effort to smile regardless of examiner's demeanor. This positive attitude not only boosts my confidence but also creates a welcoming atmosphere in the room. Number 7, eye contact and engagement. While speaking, I strive to maintain appropriate eye contact with the examiner. This demonstrates attentiveness and engagement in the conversation. However, I ensure it's not overly intense or uncomfortable, but rather natural and friendly. Number 8, incorporating idioms. I have a repertoire of idioms that I have practiced and feel comfortable using in various contexts. Incorporating these idioms into my answers adds depth and richness to my speech, showcasing my language proficiency and versatility. Remember, practicing these strategies consistently and integrating them seamlessly into your test-taking approach can greatly enhance your performance and confidence during IELTS speaking test. So in this video, we have delved into valuable strategies and insights to excel in the IELTS speaking test. From understanding the test format to incorporating idiomatic language naturally, we've covered essential tips to help you perform at your best. Remember, familiarity with the test formats builds confidence, while establishing rapport with the examiner sets a positive tone. Additionally, dressing comfortably, using expressive gestures, and maintaining a positive demeanor contribute to your overall performance. By incorporating these strategies into your preparation, you'll approach the test with confidence and competence. To all aspiring test takers, remember that success in the IELTS speaking test is within your reach. Stay motivated, practice diligently, and believe in your abilities. Each step you take brings you closer to your goal of achieving your desired score. Keep pushing forward, stay positive, and embrace the journey of language proficiency. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit from these valuable tips. Together, let's empower each other to succeed in the IELTS speaking test and beyond. Good luck on your language learning journey, and I'll see you guys in another video. Thank you.